Are you feeling lost in a digital wilderness? Welcome to Lost in Cyberia. We are your guide to navigating the world of cyberspace.
So, whether you're a tech enthusiast or you're looking to land your first job in InfoSec, we're here to break things down into bite sized pieces so that you don't have to. Welcome back to another episode of Lost in Cyberia. We're your hosts, Annie-Mei
And Anika.
and today we have a special guest on the show. We have Ray Goldman.
So I will quickly introduce Ray to our listeners. So Ray Goldman is a former miscreant who now uses his hacking skills for good. He's seen the InfoSec world through many lenses, from the sysadmin trenches and phishing ops, all the way to his current BIOSOC gig, which is Business Information Security Officer, giving him a front row seat to the human side of security. Outside of work, he's either building chaos boxes with Tulia, segmenting his home lab, or organizing the DC 814 hacker meetups. He's also a massive pro wrestling fan and will tell anyone who listens that Ring Psychology is just a masterclass in social engineering. Totally agree. When tech is too much, you can find him in the garage tinkering with cars, 90s DSMs, and Subarus. For Ray, it all comes down to mashup of security, community, and turbocharged cars, all driven by the idea that hacking is really about curiosity and collaboration. Welcome, Ray. So good to have you on Lost in Cyberia.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, I got a little lost in Siberia on the way here, but I found my way. So thank you for being patient.
I said before we started recording, but you have a very cool lab set up in your home office. I genuinely thought it was a screen.
Yeah, it started from just the COVID trenches and work from home setup. So I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, and I probably should say also that I met you at DEF CON last month in Vegas, which was early August, so we're kind of end of September now. But yeah, I guess we met at the Blue Team Village after party. Is that right?
Yeah, the Blue Team Village after party. You were probably invited.
Yeah.
We kind of ended up there as you do at DEF CON. And yeah, that was how we met. It was a good time. You guys made some really good drinks there, and I still have one of the blue ducks.
Oh, were they giving away ducks? I don't think I even
well,
got one.
I stole it, or I might have. I might have.
I
don't know. I saw.
I'm pretty sure they're giving away.
Yeah, I saw these blue ducks all around, and they were like on top of door frames and stuff like that. So I'm just like, of course. So yeah, I took one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm pretty sure that they're meant to be taken. They don't want to lug them back home with them, right? Like, no one wants to take all the merch back to wherever the hell they've come from.
Yeah. Very, very, very true. Very true.
And you were there with Can we talk about BlazeCon?
You know what? Yeah. Well, let's go ahead. We can talk about BlazeCon. BlazeCon is it's a crew of mine who we met up with. Oh man, it's hard to remember how long ago it was, and it's for obvious reasons. But it was probably like officially 2 years, unofficially probably going on like 4 years. And basically what it is you know how they say DEF CON, find your people. Well, we found our people, and basically it was just people who really enjoyed cannabis, I guess is a good way of putting it. And you know, they'll safely dispose of it if you have too much. If you're freaking out, they'll help you calm down. It's a nice little community, and you know, we all are pretty professional. And we go out there and we just kind of blaze it down the whole weekend. And yeah, basically if you have a good party and BlazeCon shows up to it, it's usually a sign that it's a good party. Like, it's a compliment. So the fact that we showed up to the Blue Team after party, which it was kind of tricky to get in there, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a hotel room, so
yeah. Well, they're not that hard to get up there.
Yeah.
Not usually. Yeah, I feel like the Fontainebleau is a little bit harder just because they actually have someone like standing before you get to the lifts.
Well, you
Yeah,
can get
but that's
past that
not
really
that.
easy.
Yeah,
It's really
true.
easy to get past that. Do
Yeah,
you
you
want
could
me to
just
say
like
how?
hold a
Or
random card up, pretend it's
yeah,
a hotel room card.
well, if they have a self-serve kiosk in the lobby, they have blanks right there. So you walk right up to the kiosk, you get a blank card, and then you just show them the card.
True. That's very true.
I used to work in hotels for almost a decade, and yeah,
Okay.
I can completely resonate. But having a self-serve kiosk with blank key cards,
Yeah.
that's asking for it. Like
It's
that's
a
just,
whole level of stupid. It's a whole different level of stupid.
or trusting, like, which both can be true. And key cards are very interesting in terms of like RFID and stuff, because yeah, I've definitely seen things and know things that I don't want to know. It's really hard
Mhm.
for me to stay in hotels after
Oh yeah.
after what I've seen. Yeah.
Give me a physical key, and even then, like that's a little tricky as well.
Yeah, even with physical keys, right?
I feel like also if you get given a physical key when you're staying in a hotel, I'm just always so scared I'm going to lose it
Oh
because it's
yeah.
just so easy, especially if it's not attached to anything. It's just the key.
That's why a lot of times the physical keys, like they're super hard to duplicate. Or at least the ones that they use for a hotel, modern hotels, at least the ones that you see use those. But it's like, oh yeah, I got a physical key. Let's go to the water park, or let's go to, like, they're always like at places where it's designed to be lost. Like an ocean resort, a water park, amusement park, but like it's some place where it's gonna fly off. Like it's guaranteed.
I think
Yeah,
it's best
for
to
sure.
leave the key with like the reception when you go, if you have a physical key, and a lot of times they'll do that. But then anyone has a physical key to your room while you're gone, which is another thing, and who can enter your room when you're gone and all that. And now you can also, in some hotels, you can also have a key on your phone, which is another set of insecurities and vulnerabilities that you can explore. And you know how a lot of times they tell you, oh, your key stopped working because you put it next to a credit card? Yeah, a lot of
Oh
times
yeah.
it's not true. Anyone essentially can just reprogram your key. If the system goes down or something happens, that can also happen. And we had way too many people walk out naked outside of their hotel room. I don't know
Oh
why.
my god.
I don't know why, but it just happens a lot. Yeah. So we always have like robes in the back of reception ready to go.
Wow, that is so
Just-
crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go with I didn't know that either. I've definitely been to many hotels, but I haven't seen too many naked people out just walking out of their
Well,
room.
not in
But
the
I imagine it
corridors,
happens.
yeah.
It happens. Yeah. And you can imagine how many security cameras are in hotels.
Oh yeah. Wow. That's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. So they just like, wait, if they're naked, why have they walked out of their room and then like what, they've just turned around and realized the door's closed?
Yeah,
They have
so a
their
lot
reasons.
of hotel rooms, like hotel rooms, are very heavy, and they will just like kind of shut by themselves. And so what happens sometimes is, couples stay together, they go and like they put like the ice bucket out or some food out or something like this of the room. Don't bother putting any clothes on, bam, clothes. Why wouldn't their partner let them in though is another thing. I don't know. Yeah, so or they just do it themselves. I'm not
I'll
sure.
tell you why. Because my wife would think it would be hilarious that I would be stuck out there. She would think it would just be the funniest thing in the world. And she is by no means a cruel person, but she would think that is the funniest shit ever. So, so yeah, she would definitely let me squirm a little bit, but then she would probably let me in before I had to go to the front desk.
Yeah, I hope so.
Me too. Me too. I hope so as well.
Yeah, that's a good test of character.
Yeah, that's for the relationship as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's go back to talking about cybersecurity. So you organized one of the DEF CON meetups, is that right? From your bio?
So yeah, I'm well. The bio always gives you a little bit more credit than it really deserves. But so in the process of setting up the DC 814, that's actually been something that's been going on probably for the better part of a year now. So originally, what it is I wanted to create a B-sides in the local community. So we have a B-sides that's probably about an hour away. There's 3 of them, and what it is you can have a B-sides, you can have an event, but if you don't build a community around that event, you just have an event for the sake of having an event, and it just gets taken over. It doesn't have a sense of purpose, a sense of direction. You can't theme it, and then you're really at the mercy of your sponsors. So if you create a community first and foremost, and you have the community support the conference, and then anything else that comes out of it, you have way better negotiation power for actually having that conference, because now you actually have something that you can more or less negotiate a sponsor with, so you both can get something out of it. Whereas before, it's like, okay, what does the sponsor get out of this? Well, they want their talk, or what have you. And there's plenty of conferences that do that, and there's nothing wrong with it. But me personally, I want to create a conference that's more the community that's, that is driven, and have a sense of community in this city that isn't just where I work, but the universities, as well as other businesses, even people who aren't formally trained in security, who just want to come and hang out. It takes time to build those relationships, because those relationships have to be organic. You can't force that type of stuff, because then you're just the sleazy politician that's like a stereotype, and that's not me. So I have to build genuine relationships. So it's something that even like within the past 3 or 4 weeks, I've worked with the co-op in the city, who
Sorry,
has like.
before we go on, which city are you in?
Oh, I'm in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Erie. Okay.
Yeah. So
Like
I am.
ERIE?
No, only one E. Only one E.
Okay.
We are like smack dab in the middle of Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Cleveland. So
Okay.
we're like an hour and a half away from each of them. In each one of those cities has a security community. They're a much larger city though. So I've talked with the organizers of B-Sides Buffalo. I've met the B-Sides Pittsburgh organizers. Cleveland is kind of going through a transition right now, but they've been very helpful in offering knowledge, and just seeing some of these communities grow over time is just crazy to see. But I'm trying to create more of a community here in Erie, and I'm not the only one. So I'm meeting other people who have the same ideas as me, and that's how DC 814 is actually being formed. And what's important to me about DC 814 is it's not my thing. Like it's not my community. It might be a community that I find, or that I'm the founder of, and it might be one that I'm involved with, but it's not my ideas only. It's not what I want only. It has to be what the community wants. And if the community wants to go a different direction, they can go a different direction. That's okay. Because we all grow, and as we grow, we might have other interests, we might have other thoughts, we might have other views, but that doesn't mean we need to hold on to those positions of power in communities. We need to give those things up. So still going on a tangent, I apologize, but like I run a subreddit community. I'm always involved in these big, large communities, and I won't go into the details of what it is. It's gaming related, and it's something else entirely. And we have like 500,000 members, over 500,000 members in this community. And it's something that I've been a part of it for the better part of 5 years. I've run this community, kind of owned it. And I'm in the process of transitioning it out to someone else, because their ideas are going to be more fresh. And in order for the community to survive and grow and not become stagnant, it's important for them to take it over. But I can't just give it to someone. I can't just give it to a random person, because I have to be able to trust what it is that they're going to do with it, and that they still have the same values that I have. Because I might not agree with what the community wants, but if that's what the community wants, and it's ethical, obviously, then that's what we'll do. So that sorry, I just kind of spilled my guts a little bit about like building communities. So you're just like, oh yeah, you do the DEF CON group. And I just went on some 10-minute tirade about building communities.
No, but it's absolutely right. We see this a lot happening, where you have somebody holding on onto something with Like, I think Mark Zuckerberg was always like, I'm not
Mhm.
ever leaving Meta. I'm not, no, never. Chris McMahon, I guess, until he had to. He
Mhm.
was the I guess the CEO, no, that's not the CEO, the president of WWE. Linda McMahon was the CEO. She's now the Secretary of Education, or
Yeah. Yeah. That's
yeah.
ugh.
That's interesting. A1, everyone. Yeah, and yeah, when they hold on to it, it's less fun, right, for everyone involved, and that's how communities break.
I gave a talk about that, similar topic, and it was about pro wrestling and obviously the psychology around it, but it was about that. It was about really like pro wrestling is, I don't know if anybody knows this, but pro wrestling is fake. Totally
Yeah,
predetermined.
this is
Fake.
like
Oh
WWE,
no!
right?
I don't, oh wait, hold on.
Oh,
Yeah. Pro wrestling is totally fake. I don't mean to put spoilers out here, but yeah, it's totally
we'll have
fake.
to put a spoiler on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure we add spoilers to this episode, because pro wrestling is fake. But like, how do you sell a pay-per-view, or how do you sell an event for something that's fake? How do you get people to actually care about this stuff?
Mm.
And that's where the psyche of it comes into play. And that's how you can start to get people to believe it. But the problem with that is once you start to believe your own BS, that's when the downfall happens. And you can't do that because pro wrestling is fake. Hulk Hogan is a villain, and he passed away as a villain. He's going to be in infamy in many circles, and rightfully so. And that's because ultimately he got this reputation and he believed his own BS, that he was infallible and he was the Hulkster. But like, pro wrestling is fake. It's fake. You can't believe that type of stuff. And I don't watch the WWE stuff. It got weird.
Oh, you don't watch WWE? Wait, so there's other types of pro wrestling?
yeah,
I'm so confused. I don't know much about this.
So I've been watching this other type of pro wrestling for probably the past 6 years now, ever since it came out. It's called AEW, and it's called All Elite Wrestling, and I'm a huge fan of it. I'm going to it in Pittsburgh on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be front row, and I'm going to be rowdy, and yeah, like, turn it on, you'll see me. But I like going to that because it's not like it's more real, but they're more modern. Like, they're I don't want to use the word progressive, but like, one of the things that I noticed over like the past like month is, so they have their world champion. His name's Hangman Adam Page, is this cowboy guy. But he started referring to himself as the men's world champion. Think about that. There's been a women's world championship. There has been for years. That's not new. But it's always been called the women's world championship, and men's has always been called the world championship. He started calling it the men's world championship. He is the guy he's up here. By him doing that, because remember, wrestling's fake. He elevated the legitimacy of the women's championship to be on equal level. He's presenting it that way. And that's one of the things I like about AEW. And it's not, they're not all about all that, but like, where it makes sense to do and to bring people up and be equal and just kind of do the right thing. That's one of the reasons why I like watching it. See some really some gnarly stuff. I saw a guy they were hitting each other with a fork, and it can get bloody and pretty extreme, but they're equal opportunity there. You get a whole bunch of flavors of things, and my wife goes to these with me and sits front row, and she has nicknames for all the wrestlers. She doesn't call them by their actual names. She calls them by their nicknames, and she has a blast. She never watched it before she met me. It's one of the things. She adopted pro wrestling, and I adopted Taylor Swift. So.
I mean, that's fair.
Well, worlds collide.
Right? I saw the Eras tour 3 times. It was amazing.
What? You went 3 times? I went once.
3 times. I saw it twice in Vegas and once in Pittsburgh. Phenomenal show.
Damn,
yeah, twice in Vegas.
Fun.
Yeah,
yeah. At Allegiant?
Allegiant Stadium, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have pro wrestling here in Canberra, but it's, as you can imagine, a very small scene. But I'm going on Saturday. Yeah, we do. Yes. Yeah. It only started like maybe just a decade or so ago. It started as very, very little. They were selling tickets for like $2 or $5 or something. And now, yeah, we have the Slam Academy. So you can go and you can learn to be a pro wrestler. They advertise in the city as well. I've been to one show here in Canberra, and I'm going on Saturday again. And I used to do martial arts, so my partner is really into pro wrestling. So same with your wife, I guess. Like I got into it, and yeah, and he'll show me all these videos of like the Golden Lovers and
Oh,
you
Kenny
know,
Omega, and yep.
yeah. And we watched the whole Vince McMahon documentary. I've given him the criminology, synopsis of everything that happened there, and he was like, "That was a very interesting take on this." Oh yeah, it's we do have a community here in the scene, and in Australia as well. We have one in New South Wales, in Newcastle. They're coming to WrestleMania WWE into Perth in October. So
Yeah, right.
there you go. But they're coming from the US. But we have our own little communities. Yeah, and I heard about AEW, but he's more into like Mexican and Japanese wrestling.
Lucha Libre, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, Lucha Libre
It's
is pretty cool. And Japan's interesting because they treat it like a legitimate sport.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
that-
sumo
that's
wrestling?
no pro
They
wrestling.
also have that, but that's
Oh,
not,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a different thing. My sister actually went and saw that in Long Beach. I didn't hear from her for like a couple months, and all of a sudden I got all these random Snapchat messages of sumo wrestling, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And she's like, I'm at sumo wrestling. I'm like, clearly, like,
Yeah. It has a very specific look, sumo wrestling, compared to, I guess, if you took a snapshot of something else. And I think like with all the like UFC, becoming much bigger and everything, with pro wrestling, it also like has been going up as well. But it's way more interesting because they actually have a story, I think, pre-write in the beginning of the year, and then they like act it out throughout the year. It's very interesting. It's acting and choreography. And when you see it live, because I used to do martial arts. So the first one I saw, I was like, yeah, that doesn't hurt that much. What is he doing? That's not good acting. And then I saw another group, and they were choreographed really well, and they were really good. And I was like, yeah, that's good. That looks believable. I believe them. So it's so hard to do because you have to be a good actor, you have to be a good athlete, and a dancer, almost like a dancer. Like you
it
have
is.
to.
I was just about to say it's like a dance.
Yes, I could dance. But yeah, there is probably a lot of element of social engineering about like, who are you and who are you, like real life, versus what do you sell to others.
Yeah, I call that getting over. It's not that I call it that. That's the term is getting over. When the crowd has a reaction to you, whether it's a positive or a negative reaction, it's called, whether getting over. And what it is obviously wrestling's fake, but I keep saying that.
Yeah.
But like how you build the legitimacy in a fake sport is you have people put on like a good match, and that's putting someone else over. So you can have a veteran, and I use this analogy at work quite often. And as the senior on the team, or one of the seniors, I do a lot of mentoring, and I call it putting people over at work. So I'm essentially not just like doing the work for them and making them look good. I'm not doing anything like that, but I'm giving them opportunities where I know they're going to shine, and I know they're going to do very well. So then that gives my management, or even senior level management, if they have the right opportunities, they know who they are. Now they have a confidence in them. Now they're over to them, so they're more likely to go and lean on them or ask them for help or anything like that. So it's one of those things where it doesn't make sense for me to try to hold on to my spot, so to speak, in pro wrestling terms. It makes more sense for me to put others over. So if the whole team's good and everyone's doing well, we're all making more money. And that's what happens in pro wrestling. Ticket revenue's good, ticket sales are up, everyone's making more money, you're drawing more people, you're selling more merch. It's the same thing in the office. Yeah. You're looking good, you're getting those promotions, you're getting those good reviews, and it's just you're putting people over. And I can't emphasize that enough, like just putting other people over and giving them opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's important as well. Like you were saying, that if everyone's doing well, then the whole company does well. Because I think, you'll sometimes work with people who they won't want to share how they've learned certain things, or they just kind of keep everything to themselves because they kind of see you as a threat or whatever. And yeah, it's like if we all just help each other, we'd all be just doing so much better if we all just collaborated and shared what we've learned. And I think, like, for the most part, I think most people in cyber are pretty helpful and wanting to help others. But I mean, you've obviously done a lot, not only in your company, but you have worked with universities as well. So can you talk about, like, the mentoring and stuff that you've done outside of work too, to kind of more people come into the industry?
Yeah. So one of the things that people don't tell you, or maybe they do, and they just don't say it directly, but like everyone hates the hiring process. So like whether that's the person doing the hiring or the person who's getting hired, the process it's strange. It's like these weird type of vibes and feelings that you get, and then it takes too long. It's just all ambiguous, and it's so expensive to go through and hire someone and get the right talent, and then you find out, oh, I thought this was the right talent, but it didn't really work out. And that's a problem because you just spent all this time investing and it's not the right person. So one of the things that I take seriously is recruiting people to the organization. And what we'll do is they give us opportunities, and this isn't even security related. This is just regular recruiting is part of my company. They give me these opportunities to go out and essentially be a liaison to a university. There's a local university. It's actually one that I went to and how you dropped out of, ironically. But I am the liaison to that. So I actually work with a contact at this university, and we go to different recruiting events where I go and I talk to people about what we have. It's called an apprentice program. And it's something that's a little bit unique. I think more companies are starting to do that, but it's been very helpful for us in the security space. And what this is a lot of times it's interns, but we will go and we put them in this program where they're like entry level, and they're straight out of school, and they're on the team, and we start to give them work, and they'll do like a 6 to 9 month rotation in a certain area. And then after that, they go on another rotation, another area. And there's job families that they're looking for. It's either like a software engineer, like a sysadmin, security. I think there's a project manager. There's a couple more. But you're basically that discipline. You'll go to different teams and you'll do that job or a variation of that job. And you get on the job training. You start to network within the company. And that program actually lasts about 2 years, sometimes 3, depending on, if you need some more time to cook. But when you come out, you get a promotion. You already have like 2 years under your belt, and you're really hitting the ground running, and you have real experience. And it's something that's been very helpful for us from an apprentice program perspective. And one of the things that we actually did for our team is we recruited someone, and they're a senior now on our team, and they didn't even have a technical background at all. They had a psychology background, and they did a rotation in InfoSec as a stretch, as a challenge to themselves. And we just really connected with this individual, and they were helping us with our phishing program. They actually run it now. They run all of our security awareness program. They're absolutely killing it. And when they started in our SOC. And I watched this person kick hackers out of the perimeter and all kinds of other stuff. And it's so great to see. And one of the things that we've done with this, and this wasn't by design, but we ended up getting, our team is it's almost 50% women.
Wow.
We have some project managers. It's kind of split, but I mean, like actual analysts, administrators, things like that. And they're in these technical roles. And like, I don't play the gender stuff. Like you do the job, and that's why you have it. And it's very rare that somebody treats you differently because of your gender, at least to my knowledge, where we're at, because I will correct that very quickly. Because that's one of the things that I just won't tolerate.
But psychology has so many benefits, I guess, in the cyber awareness space, but even like in the SOC space, right? This is the whole think like a hacker, and you don't necessarily have to have a background as
Not at all.
in this. And Annie-Mei and I wrote a recent article for a policy column, which was talking about, how being technical is not the only skill that's required. It's obviously is needed, but you can learn it. Yeah, you need so many other skills, which are called soft skills, but I don't want to use this term. Yeah, because they're very necessary. That's very, very good to hear. This is one of the reasons.
Totally necessary.
No, it's not. It's you know why software is called software, right? So it's like every time it's something feminine, they just assign soft to it, and you just go, well, there's nothing soft about being able to communicate to anyone. It came from a lot of hard work, a lot of hard experiences. But yeah, like that's one of the reasons I went into studying criminology with cyber, because I was like, I can't separate the human element of it. It's going to be very difficult. But having the diversity of experience as well in your team is so important.
Having a diverse team is really important because you don't want a team of everyone who just thinks the same as you. You want different perspectives and different viewpoints, and you also need to have a team who is willing to accept that they can be wrong. Like I'm willing to accept that I'm wrong. I'm always willing to think that maybe this isn't the best way to do something. Maybe I can learn something. And you don't have to be above me or at the same level as me to teach me something. Like I can learn from anyone. It doesn't matter. Like I don't care what a title is or anything like that. Having a diverse team is so important because otherwise you just get this echo chamber. And the second you have any type of diverse thought, you don't know how to communicate. The thing about soft skills that people will not tell you is if you have this technical ability and say you just have this God-given technical ability, if you don't have the soft skills to actually communicate to stakeholders, you are capped in your industry. You can only go so far. And that's just the reality. You will get someone who isn't who doesn't have the same depth of technicality as you, who can just communicate a little bit better, and they will surpass you. So that's something where I see it with certain people who are newer to the industry, who like live, breathe, and eat this stuff, which is great. But learn some soft skill classes, learn the presentation stuff. And it seems so silly to say this, but if you don't, or maybe you have no desire to go into any of that stuff, that's fine. That's why it always depends. Like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? And if you want to be like a CISO or something like that, you need to be able to present to someone. Like you need to.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting what you said before about taking the time with the hiring process, because I was even thinking about my own experiences at different places I've worked at, and I was just thinking about a place where I worked where I clearly didn't fit in with the work culture, but they didn't take the time to actually figure out whether I would fit in with the culture, and everyone kind of thought the same. They really weren't open to diversity of thought, and I wasn't going to fit in there, because I like to think differently. And I was there for nearly a year. And throughout the whole time, I just constantly kept thinking, like, I shouldn't be here. Like, I don't fit in with this kind of culture that they've created. And that's okay. But they should have actually taken the time to figure that out before actually hiring me, rather than. And I feel like this happens so often, especially in private, because it's a bit different in the public sector, because the hiring process is usually longer, or at least in Australia. But companies will just go, yeah, we need someone to fill this role. Can you start like next week? and not actually taking the time to find out, hey, maybe we could introduce you to the person you'll be working as your manager. You'll be working under this person. This will be the people you'll be working in your team, and actually getting to meet them and see whether you would actually be a good fit for that place. And I feel like so many places don't take the time to do that.
You have to make people feel welcome. You have to actually make them, for lack of a better term, give a shit. Like you really need to. Like my coworkers are my coworkers. And there's a couple of them who I would actually use the F word with. I would consider them a friend. But I usually draw
Sorry.
that line.
I just thought you meant, yeah, okay, never mind.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, you thought I meant
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, well, that makes
no.
sense, because I guess you probably tend to swear with your friends.
I mean, yeah, but okay. No, that's not where I meant to take that. My coworkers, there's several who I actually would consider friends, and I'll communicate with them outside of work. I've gone to DEF CON with them, things outside of work, but usually I try to keep things more professional. I draw that line, but at the same time, I'm always going to go out of my way to make people feel accepted and make them feel comfortable. And there's small things, like there's someone who's newer to the team who maybe hasn't built rapport or friends yet. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go sit with them. And then because I know that there will be other people who will come and sit by me. So that I create opportunities for people to engage with one another, but I try not to force that. I can't make everybody be friends, but I can at least set up things so people can talk to one another and become friends. I'm really big in things happening organically, you know, whether that's the conference or what.
Friendship either.
No, I keep my circle of friends very, very tight. I don't know, maybe I have some trust issues, but I keep my I keep my
really.
I mean, yeah. So I keep my circle of friends very, very close, and like I have a really close friend of mine, and it's what's wonderful about this is he doesn't work in the security industry at all. He doesn't know. I don't want to say he doesn't know anything about what I do. Like he has an idea, but like he doesn't know. We work on cars and we play video games and watch pro wrestling together. We don't talk about my work, and it's kind of an escape. You know, I love InfoSec. I love security. I love computers, but everyone needs a break. So
Your brain needs a break to sometimes being able to process what you do at work, something not work related, so you can actually perform better and be more productive. We see it a lot in our industry where there's a lot of culture of like burnout and heroism and taking on too much. And I know I'm guilty of that sometimes too, but it's not as productive or efficient as you may think, right? You do need to have that outlet, that creative outlet, that's quiet outlet, whatever you want to do. And look at it, like how much similarity between pro wrestling and cybersecurity there is. I mean, yeah.
there's quite a
InfoSec
bit.
imitates art. There you go.
I mean, it's really true, and I you know, this is now officially a pro wrestling podcast, and I'm just, but it's just kind of crazy when you think about it, and just how much that in-ring psychology, because it's not like it's not just our industry that pro wrestling is kind of infiltrated in a way, and it's not that pro wrestling is infiltrated, but it's the thought process, it's the psychology behind it. And you, unfortunately, you also see it in politics, or U.S. politics now. You see it obviously in the boxing realm. Muhammad Ali actually popularized that because they know that people are going to spend money to see him get beat up. And it's the whole thing about, you know, press is press. It doesn't matter if it's good press or bad press. As long as you can get a reaction, people are talking. And that type of mentality is kind of spread out, but it seems to have originated. Well, I don't know if it originated, but like, I've always known this from pro wrestling, like the psychology of how a lot of people act online and things like that. I see it all from pro wrestling, and I'm like, yo, you're just reenacting the Undertaker storyline from 2002. I'm making stuff up now, but
Yeah, we see it a lot because in criminology, when you think about your normal like terrestrial crimes, you're not virtual crimes. People are like, oh yeah, no, people commit crimes because they have strain, they want to get more money, they're unhappy in their life. I'm like, not with cybercrime. That does not apply. Yeah, as you said, like that cybercrime psychology is way more, either like taking on the challenge or showing off. And that show-off mentality, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but getting a reaction, whichever reaction that is a very different crime theory, and that's why the way that we think about, apprehending hackers and catching them, and like, oh no, we are buying into that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, it's not going to help you at all, because the more you react, the more you are the audience that goes, "Wah."
I always say that the best, because it's all just modern day trolling, and the best thing you can do to a troll is you just don't react to them. So I talk about adminning a Reddit community. So with 500,000 members, you're gonna have some people who are just, I don't want to go as far to say that they're bad people. I don't know them, but they're edgy, whatever it is, whatever they're getting their jollies from. So what it is they want that ban message. They're a troll. They want that ban message. That right there is like kind of, that's what they're working towards. And they're like, yeah, it worked. I made someone mad and they banned me. So if I know that that's what they want, I deny them the ban message. So I just don't give them a ban message. I ban them, but I don't give them a ban message because I know that's what they're after. And then I'll just set up a bot to delete every post that they make after they make it. And on the subreddit, and like you'll see people like try to troll for like 3 months afterward, not realizing that every single one of their posts, like, and it like that's the reason why like that's the closest thing that like I can do to a shadow ban. But like that term is synonymous with typically bad things and censorship and things like that. But ultimately that's kind of why the shadow ban exists. And I'm not talking about any sort of view in particular. But there are individuals out there who want that ban message. And it's one of the tools that you have to not give them what they want. There's a term for that where you're basically denying the behavior until the behavior changes. You're denying that reward. And that's essentially what you're doing in those types of communities.
What kind of subreddit is this?
Gaming.
Okay, so video games.
Yeah, video games. And you know how absolutely toxic video game communities can be.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day because I'm speaking at this conference next month called PAX, which you've probably heard of because it started with us. Yeah, and I don't game, so don't ask me how I got onto this panel. But anyway, I was asking our video editor actually because he actually has a YouTube channel for The Sims where he live streams himself playing The Sims, and he was telling me about this whole thing where people who are live streaming on video games and someone will work out where this person lives and then they'll call like the SWAT team and the SWAT team will come in like while they're live streaming. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is nuts.
Swatting. Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And there are videos where you can see the police come in.
Yeah,
and they actually know about it now. But they still have to go and investigate it, and it's a whole thing. And
it really made me wonder, like, these people play so many video games that the lines between real life and games like just blur, and what they're seeing on their screen is they think is just like what they're doing when they're playing video games. And so they can't really understand the actual impact that it's having on this real person that they're seeing in real life.
I think you're on to something, but I don't think it's related to video games. I think it's more with the maturity level. So there's someone who I know who totally isn't or wasn't me as a youth who would have been that miscreant. And so like there was a time where someone who wasn't me was maybe 13 years old, 14 years old, and stealing credit cards so they could make screen names on AOL that had the first character be a space in it. Or so they could make an AOL account that had the first letter be lowercase because they automatically would capitalize every single screen name you could make. You would have to use credit cards that weren't ever used on that service before. And like it was this whole thing, and you wouldn't realize what you were actually doing, like the difficulties that you were potentially putting someone through, the uncertainty of having their credit card compromised and having to go and do like you don't realize that because you're so young and you don't have any idea of how the world works. And I'm not trying to justify or defend the behavior of some of these younger cyber criminals, but I absolutely see where they're coming from. And if cryptocurrency was a thing when I was 13, 14 years old, I don't know if I would be talking to you. Well, maybe I would be, but I would probably be wearing an orange jumpsuit. I probably would have gotten more into crime and like or someone who wasn't me. Sorry, correct myself. But if that was a thing, so I completely understand, because you never thought about those things. You never were thinking about people that you were hurting or lives that you were impacting. Now it's very real, and having gone through those things, I think that my opinion has changed, or not really opinion, but I can sympathize a little bit more with, because, oh, it's just a credit card number, who cares? When you're affecting people's lives and things like that, it changes things a little bit.
That people stop committing crimes after they turn 29, 30. And that's where a lot of crime theories go, why? and it's so simple. It's people mature, people have more experiences in life, and they understand how their actions have consequences. Yes, you do have a percentage of people that continue committing the same crime, and that's more pathological there, and then you can explain it in a different way, except for white collar crime, because that just gets worse with age, because they learn more on how to fool organizations and they have more experience. So, but when we're talking about like misdemeanor like this and stuff like that, yes, you understand what is the effect that you have on other people. And considering how new the internet is, like how it's so new in terms of like kids' psychology, right? Because when a kid grows up, you tell him, oh, don't hurt another person, they're in pain. What would you like to be hurt? But we never ask them, would you like to have your credit card stolen? Because that would mean nothing to a child, right?
Some of them have nicer phones than me.
Oh,
like...
yeah, I know, right? It's kind of crazy these days. Well, we could probably keep talking for ages, but unfortunately we have to.
No worries. I'm happy to come back whenever. Like, I would. I'm happy to talk whatever you want to talk about whenever. Like, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ray, for coming on the podcast.
It was my pleasure to be here. Look forward to having another round here shortly or sometime in the future.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in again to this episode of Lost in Cyberia.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.